We're going to have a look at some fractional exponents here. This is not one that we've looked at before in our investigations, but fractional exponents have the same effect as if we take a root of a number. So something to the power 1/2 is the same as saying the square root of that number. Okay, so if we want to take 4 to the power 1/2, we're finding the square root of 4. Now the answer to that is either plus or minus 2, because 2 times 2 can be 4, but also negative 2 times negative 2 equals positive 4 as well. So if we're going to take 100 to the power 1/2, that means the square root of 100, which would be plus or minus 10. 36 to the power 1/2 is the square root of 36, so plus or minus 6. So now our fraction has changed from 1/2 to 1/3. Now it is this number on the bottom, the denominator, that tells us the root that we're going to take. So because we now have 8 to the power 1/3, we're going to take the cube root of our number, cube root of 8. And the answer to that is 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. There's no plus or minus with this, because it is not true that minus 2 times minus 2 times minus 2 equals 8. Okay, so we can't have that one, so 2 is the only value here. So here we're taking the cube root of negative 27. Now we can take cube roots of negative numbers, because when we multiply a number by itself 3 times and that number is negative, we can end up with a negative value. So here the cube root of 27 is 3, so the cube root of negative 27 is negative 3. We can then do some things where the numerator of that fraction is not 1. So basically we break this down into 8 to the power 2/3 is the same as saying 8 to the power 1/3 and then square that answer that we get. Now the reason this works is because we have our index law that says when we have brackets we multiply the two indices together. Now 2 times 1/3 is equal to 2/3. Okay, by doing the cube root part first, so 8 to the power 1/3 is the cube root of 8, we're actually then producing a much smaller number which is easier to square. So the cube root of 8 is 2, 2 squared is 4, so the answer is 4 here. 16 to the power 3/2, the number that's the denominator tells us the root to take, so we're going to take the square root of 16, and the number which is the numerator is the power that we raise the answer to. So the square root of 16 is 4, and then we want to cube our answer, so that would be 64. 4 times 4 times 4. Now lastly, this example here puts together everything that we've seen so far. So it's got negatives and it's got fractions. And so the negative tells us that we do 1 over our what we had to start with. Okay, so the negative gives us the fraction, and then the fractional index number tells us that we take the square root of 16, which would be 4, and this would be a plus or minus. The answer would be plus or minus 1/4. So where you have these indices and you're asked to calculate them, my advice really is to break it down into steps. Okay, if you've got a negative part, that means turn your answer to a fraction, then deal with any roots that you might have to take, and then lastly raise your number to any power. That means that you'll keep the numbers as small as possible to make that calculation as easier for you.